actually get going now, because I've been yapping here for a while. Let's actually learn some chords and start to play some songs. The first chord we're going to learn is a D chord, and it's shaped like this. You're going to put your first finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, like we were just talking about, and then put your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret on the 1st string, or the high string. So you should have these 2 notes now. And finally, you're going to put your 3rd finger down on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Now we're only interested in playing the top 4 strings to make this chord. And it may not sound like that the first time you play it. It might, which would be great, but it often sounds more like this at first. At least it did for me when I started to play. Now, what's probably going on, you need to sort of troubleshoot and look at your fingers, but usually it means that your fingers are kind of slouched over the strings like this, and they're not, your fingers aren't sitting up straight like your mother would have told them to do. So make sure that they've all got this kind of boxy shape, and check each string and see if it's clear. If you get 2 that are good and 1 that isn't, you might not be pressing down enough, or you might not be close enough to the fret. You know, if you're playing all the way back here, then you may need to move the notes up. But usually the culprit is that the fingers are kind of tipped over a little bit. Or they're bumping into the next string. Like if your finger is too far over, now the 4th string doesn't sound good, and you've got to pull this finger back a little bit. It takes a little while, and then one day you'll be playing chords, and instead of sounding rotten, they'll sound great. And in the meantime, my best advice is just make the chords and keep sort of hammering away, even if they don't sound super clean, because eventually they will. You're building muscles. It's like if you've ever tried to do something athletic for the first time ever. And I speak from experience as an out-of-shape guitar player. The first time you go running, you're out there, you can barely go a quarter mile, your shins hurt, you're sucking wind, everything is awful. But if you do it a bunch of times while you're feeling awful, there'll be one day when you get up and do it and you don't feel awful, and that'll be the day that you can kind of run. And it's the same thing with shaping chords. It's going to sound kind of sketchy at first, but if you keep making those shapes and getting your fingers to go in those places, it'll start to sound good. So